NFL linebacker turned sports analyst Emmanuel Acho. Following the death of George Floyd, Acho started a web series. It's become wildly popular. It's called Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man. The hope is to bridge the gap between the experiences of black and white Americans. And last night, Acho dropped part one of his latest conversation with none other than NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, where they talked about those protests and patriotism. Emmanuel, good morning, sir.
Good morning, my friend. How you doing?
I'm great. I watched part one, and as I was telling Savannah and Hoda this morning, it really is the most revealing 9 minutes of Roger Goodell I've ever seen or listened to. He tells you at the very beginning of the conversation that he's quite comfortable talking about race. What did you make of the conversation?
It was the most real I have ever seen Commissioner Goodell. It was the most authentic I have ever seen him. Heard some things that I, in fact, had never heard before. What I made was I saw a man who most people only understand or know as the commissioner. I saw him as a real human being. He realizes he's made some mistakes in the past. He has a lot to change, and he's starting to work towards making that change. I feel like Roger Goodell embodied what a lot of America is trying to embody and what a lot of America we continue to need to embody. Identify the mistakes we've made, and let's move forward to do better.
I also found out, I didn't know that his father had marched with Coretta Scott King. And you get the impression that he was genuinely moved by conversations that he's had with people. He talks about the ride-alongs with police officers and going into like a domestic abuse call center. You really get the impression that the commissioner is maybe a little woke now.
Well, it's interesting. I think, Craig, a lot of people are trying to have their own awakening. I just try to create a safe space to help other people really verbalize this awakening that they're having. I think Commissioner Goodell, he realizes his father was called schizophrenic because his father had a picture in the 1960s with black children in his desk mantle. His father hired the first black press secretary. I looked it up, an article, 1968. Senator Charles Goodell hires first Negro press aide. So I think Roger Goodell, Commissioner Goodell, now realizes, wait a second, it's actually not only in my human DNA, but it's the right thing to do to continue to educate myself on equality, on social justice, and fight for it for my players.
He talked about Colin Kaepernick, and I don't want to give away too much because obviously we want people to watch your conversation with him. But did you get the sense that he plans to personally reach out and apologize to Kaepernick or extend another invitation to talk?
I believe that Commissioner Goodell, he chose his words wisely. That's what I know. And I'm not sure who reached out to who and why it wasn't able to come together. But I do understand this. He thoroughly knows if he were to ever talk to Colin Kaepernick, he would benefit from that conversation. He thoroughly knows and genuinely feels contrition for how that situation has unfolded and developed. And like he alluded to, in so many words, he wishes he could have had that conversation. So I don't know what the future holds for Commissioner Goodell. I have no idea what the future holds for Colin Kaepernick. But I do know this. If those two were to come together and have a conversation, which I hope my episode can lead to, then there will be growth from that.
Moving forward, did you get the sense that when the season starts here in a few weeks, the commissioner is going to be open to players who want to engage in peaceful protests, even if that includes taking a knee?
Phenomenal question. At the end of my episode, I teased part two, which comes out tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time, where I actually asked Commissioner Goodell, will you support players if they choose to take a knee this season? He gives a very, very interesting answer to that question tonight. So I'm not sure how it will play out, but you can hear his words on it tonight on the episode.
In the business, that's what we call a tease, Emmanuel. Well done, sir. Well done.
Just a little cliffhanger.
And by the way, it really is a fantastic public service you're providing. Well done. Part two of Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man drops at 7 o'clock Eastern today on Emmanuel's social media channels.